So I believe Chapter 7 Season 1 might just be a game, and why the Cube Queen kind of could be behind it, or at least maybe the last reality. So with next season set to be a sort of US West Coast themed season, along with possibly casinos, Hollywood, it seems glitz and glam, but is it what we think it's going to be? So with the elements of obviously casinos, which is gambling, and acting, because we're essentially getting Hollywood as well, it makes me consider something that it's all just one big show, a literal game. And I have brought this up in another video a few months ago, but it goes back to something the Cube Queen said in the Queen's Anthem.
You're just a player in my show. And everything you ever thought was true was just part of the play I made for you.
So during Chapter 2, basically, it was just a game for the Cube Queen. It was just everything that ever happened was all manipulated and controlled by me, essentially. And everything you ever thought was true was just part of the game I let you view. And yeah, it's very like we were the ones being manipulated the whole time, even the imagined order, essentially. Like the battle between the Seven and Io, she mentions that at one point. Your fight with the Seven is in vain. All these worlds bow to my reign. And this is actually a sick song, let's be honest. But of course, with the Seven being chromed in Chapter 3 Season 4 and Chapter 3 Season 3, and of course with Chapter OG getting more and more confusion with things being different, the red cube now infecting timelines by the looks of things. Could this, the red cube that we know the cubes are part of the last reality's army, has these lines of reality that has been affected? Will one be Chapter 7? And this is why we're going to have casinos, sort of Hollywood, very sort of a actual facade. It's all just not really happening. Well, it is happening to us. It is happening, but it's very much manipulated and just done for the cubes and for the last reality. And this is all the game that the Cube Queen, or essentially not the Cube Queen, but the last reality, and nothing has essentially done. And that's why the Seven are returning next chapter, because that's all part of it. That's all part of the show. They want the Seven to return, maybe. That would be meta. If they're essentially like the big box office sort of return, that would be meta from Fortnite if they end up doing that. And they've had, obviously, with The Simpsons, they have been quite meta with how they described the collab. What was it? It was when they essentially described it as like a corporate greedy collab, essentially. So they have actually been quite meta. So if they do essentially what I'm saying, that would be more meta. If they literally got back to Seven to be that big box office hit for this sort of US West Coast season. Again, this is all just theory. This is not me sort of hard going for this theory. I just think it's a very interesting sort of stance on what's going on at the moment. And obviously, what would be more of a game and a nightmare than Hollywood? Am I right? And gambling, you know, sort of seedy. I was on sort of gluttony, and I was sort of on the stream yesterday. I've sort of brought up the 7 deadly sins. Now, remember the times, remember the good times in Fortnite lore and theorizing. I was never really one for the 7 are literally a sort of allegory for the 7 deadly sins. But what's occurring here? I don't know. So, pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth. Laziness, essentially. And it seems like Hollywood, gambling, Area 51, it seems a bit greed, maybe sort of envy. I don't know. But yeah, it seems like for the set. So, my difficulty of trying to understand in my head how the 7 are going to return, it's going to be very left of field. So in OG, yes, we essentially do already have the 7 back. The visitor is here. The visitor is in OG. The visitor is here. Look at him. He is here. Okay, that's me wearing the visitor skin. But he was here and he rifted away and he was like, this feels familiar. We got the bonkers saying something feels wrong. Like, oh, there's something wrong with OG, and whatever's just happened here has now infected more than just OG. So maybe Chapter 7 will be one of the consequences of this cube, and That's essentially why we're going into this weird season when the 7 will actually return, because they were chromed by the last reality, and now they will return because they will be in this heavily manipulated world. A show, a episode, like Hollywood acting, shows, films, movies. This is basically nothing is what it will seem. That's the sort of idea I'm getting. That's the feeling I'm getting, to be fair. This is all very baseless, maybe, but just everything I'm seeing, like, this is just something that's coming to me. So I thought I'll make a video on this sort of theory I'm having anyway, because it's just a bit of fun. It probably won't happen, but it's kind of fun. Fortnite's quote to this butterfly event was, "Witness where destiny takes us." So it would be weird if the destiny is like this whole facade controlled or manipulated by a presence like the last reality or the dark presence himself. But someone in my chat said, "Oh, it's funny with the whole Hollywood theme, casino, Area 51, and of course with the talk and conversation about the 7 coming back. What about the actors? Like Brie Larson, or of course The Rock? Like, will they reprise their roles? Or would it be kind of cool if they weren't the 7 and they were just actors? Like, they re-meted it completely. So in real life, they're actors and they won't actually be the actors, but in terms of Fortnite, they would be an actor, which someone did say years ago, and I hated the idea because of how they worded it. But if it's like this, I wouldn't mind it, because it doesn't actually mean they're actually actors. It's just like with the Zero Shard and this red cube manipulation, maybe this is a altered reality where they were actors, and that would be really meta and crazy. I don't know, they could pull it off. Would they pull it off? Would that be what they did? I don't know. It'd be crazy now. Which, of course, is actually where the Fortnite storyline started. The first sort of storyline season we had was where the characters were making a film. And there's another theory I've had for quite a while where I'm like, you know how we're experiencing Chapter OG now? And there's changes here and there. I sort of said, what if this isn't the first time this has happened? Because if you think about it, the visitor event is still very much out of context, even with the original timeline. Like him creating that rift and then the cube coming through still hasn't really been explained at any point. It's sort of very much out of context. So when we originally did Chapter 1, Season 1, and then when we saw the visitor rift out of reality, was someone experiencing that event as how we're experiencing Chapter OG now? Like this had happened before, but I'm not talking time travel. I'm just talking a somewhat alternate reality and a duplicate of the map, and someone brings all the characters back in who is a necessity for the storyline to continue, or for the story within Chapter OG to continue and Chapter 1, and that will just keep occurring until we finally beat whoever this is, which is the last reality. And it is just a game, and it will keep being a game, and we will keep playing the said game until we finally work it out and finally manage to destroy them. Or we're going to get Chapter OG 2, but again, the original Chapter 1 map again, and it will be played out similar, but again, there'll be changes. I don't know. I feel like that's very vague, and it's a lot. It's heavy. It is heavy headcanon, but I don't know. I feel like it works. So guys, possibly a bit of a silly theory in this one, but comment down below what you make of this. If you want to support me even more, consider using my support creator code in the Fortnite item shop, Mr. Joy, #ad, #partner. And until next time, it has been your boy, Mr. J. White. Next time, bye-bye.